Hello. Oh, hello. Yeah, good. All right, so hope you enjoyed that. Our next piece usually features Micah Jennings, and we're going to do a wonderful piece called In the Wee Small Hours, but Micah's feeling a little under the weather, so we're going to step him down and introduce our newest vocalist of the big band, Mr. Xavier Churchhouse. So, the inaugural song ever for the big band, and he's going to just show you how he can reach the heartstrings.
Xavier, where's the chart?
Hello. Oh.
Tauranga on his emotions. He was pretty nervous, I think, so well done, Xavier. Also, I want to make a special mention of Gabe Whitlock on trumpet doing the solo in the middle there. Alrighty, we'll move on. Righty. This is a new chart. Well, when I say new, I've done it before, probably about 8 years or 9 years ago. And it's a really cool Latin American kind of style. And this is called Sabor de Cuba, which means a taste of Cuba. So hope you enjoy it. Who's doing solos? Well, we're going to make solos from Xavier on trombone, Ollie Larson on trumpet, Lenny on bass, Spencer on guitar, his first solo, no pressure, but his first solo for the band. Marcus Louis, who's the band leader, and also Micah Jennings on tenor. So enjoy Sabor de Cuba.
Thank you.
It's the first time I've played that and we've only had it for a couple of weeks, so there's a few hairy moments, but hopefully you didn't see any of that. It was awesome. Alright, something a little bit special, and this is something we've been doing for a wee while, and I'm going to invite Micah to come up and sing a King Capisi piece called Screams from the Plantation, also featuring Lenny on bass as a solo, Marcus Louis on alto, Xavier Churchhouse on trombone, and finishing a solo section with Ollie Larson. So get ready for some unique sounds.
How's everyone doing today? Or tonight? This is a personal favourite of mine. It's something a little different. It's mixing a bit of Polynesian culture, bit of rap and hip hop and R&B, but with jazz and a big band. So something different. So sit back and relax, and let's go. I'm the brother sex, then the vibe to the X, but the only X I'm on, those is XXL. Always took us oversized, overstairs, overstretched, last names, pack it up, can you pronounce it? Delete the error that began with ages, visual effects, guaranteed by the flavor around, fucking out. Brown color Polynesians been exploited to our boys. Come into my life, I got cold and nice to show you. Screws on the plantation, I stop. Fight, Screws on the plantation, I stop. Fight, Screws on the plantation, I stop. It's just my second since coming back to the brink. Like some minors that should so feet. Culture ever being lost from the ignorance, from the mind to the pot to the child. Wonder why a child's running around real wild. Pass on the knowledge on the tongue, leaves us cradle. Take it back home to the motherland and teach the ways of the hours, lifestyle and speech. Yeah, lifestyle and speech. Not to be wasted, but in Matthew, when we run it down, so let go. For a Bible, and I reflect some praise, da-da-da-da. Screams from the organization, I know. Fight there, fight there. Screams from the organization, I know. Fight there. Screams from the organization, I know. Put it down, put it down. Give it up for Minnie on the bass. Marcus of the sexy saxophone. Psycho rhythm blunt the mic from an intro to an outro. Bald heads trying to understand us down. Or you trying to take me out, but your emphasis a bit of far from somebody. Religious from a mile, when it comes to battling, I'm just an animal. Taka! Fix amnesia, rah! Sick of migration, we all playing homage to the old plantation. Yeah, why? We just playing homage to the old plantation. Matthew, we're rugged, that's all let go. For a bob and boom, for a bob and boom. And I reflect some praise, da-da-da-da. Screams from the old plantation, I know. Right there. Screams from the old plantation, I know. Right there. Screams from the old plantation, I know. Right there. Down, put it down. Applause for the band.
All right, I've dumped the notes. Our next piece is a really special number, and Josh Crump, who's leading the adult big band next half, played this when he was at school and won the national award for it. Ollie played it this year when he was at the Jazz Fest and won the national award for best trumpet player, so it's really special to kind of have some really cool links going through. But this piece is a Bobby Shue number written about Blue Mitchell, and it's called Blue, featuring one of the Ollie. Why I won the award.
Larson, superb young player, and he's had a big day because he was out playing on the rugby game for an hour and a half doing the Blue Battalion Band, which is raucous and loud and noisy. So he's going to be tired by the end of this because he's also helping out with the adult band in the next set as well. We're going to finish off with our last chart, which is going to be down one guitar player in a minute. An Alan Baylock number called 2 Seconds to Midnight. The guys played this last year for the Jazz Bandits competition, and they really loved it. And I dropped it for this year, but they begged me to put it back in the program because they really love the chart, and you'll see that when they play it. So it's going to be featuring Xavier on trombone, and our lovely guitar player that I can't get rid of because he's doing a big solo on this, Josh in this. So please enjoy our last chart, 2 Seconds to Midnight. Also, before I go, thank you very much for supporting the boys and us. We're heading off to Japan in about a term from now, and we're taking them into Tokyo, through to Kyoto and Osaka, and then we're staying with one of our schools that come out here, Shingakukan, for a couple of days, and then back to Tokyo. Hopefully go to Disneyland and a few other things, so they'll have a pretty good time, but they'll be tired at the end, so appreciate your support in this, okay? the competition. Well done, guys. I just want to make a special mention of Joe Goodjohn down the Empire Baritone sax. He's a bit of a monster there, so he's done a great job.